should do, ought to, and had better you use to give advice, to help people and to help yourself make good decisions. Should do, ought to, and had better. In the context of relationship advice. So this will be funny. So we will talk about things you should do and should not do to have a good, successful, beautiful relationship. Because they do call me Dr. Love. They call me Professor of Passion. No, sorry. None of that is true. It's just a joke. I don't know why I said it. Forget I said it. I didn't say anything. No, our information today comes from a few different sites on the internet and also of my own experiences a little bit. As a 38-year-old man with a few relationships. So, before we dive into our relationship advice, quick challenge. How many of these relationship jokes can you understand? Why do couples go to the gym? Because they want their relationship to work out. Get it? Work out means to exercise. They want their relationship to work out. Anyway, next. My wife and I were happy for 20 years. Then we met. That's a good one. Next. Why do scientists say relationships are like chemical reactions? Because if you have the right elements, it's just a matter of time before it heats up. Or maybe that one was a bit too complicated. Here's the final one. What do you call two birds in love? Two birds in love. Tweethearts. So you get it, eh? Not sweethearts. Sweethearts are two people in love. But tweethearts, yeah? Because birds go tweet, just like cows go moo, and mice go squeak, yeah? And turtles go, I don't know. No one knows. Snails go. Only some animals have humanized sounds. Okay, modal verbs of advice. Boom. Let's go. Should, ought to, and had better are used to say if something is a good idea or not. It is used to give advice, suggestions, and recommendations. Examples. I think you should go out with him. I think you ought to go out with him. I think you had better go out with him. All of these have nearly the same meaning. They are all advice, suggestions, recommendations. The negative is simply adding not. You can repeat. I think you should not go out with him. I think you ought to not go out with him. I think you had better not go out with him. English speakers use should the most, but the strongest one is had better. Had better is the one that has the most impact. Yeah? The reason why the strongest one is had better is because had better includes the idea that something bad will happen if you do not do it. Yeah, that there's negative consequences if you do not do it. Examples. You had better take your medicine. You had better remember her birthday. You had better not steal my coffee in the morning, unless you can run faster than me. Another little joke. And there we go. Now, let's chat about what you should and shouldn't do in a relationship, according to me and my experiences, but also mostly, of course, the internet. Yeah? I'm not perfect. I'm just a man. But first, please remember to follow, like, subscribe, etc. if you are enjoying this podcast and if it benefits your learning. Please consider leaving a 5-star review for the algorithm. No pressure, only if you like, if you benefit. I'd much appreciate it. Okay, the shoulds of a healthy relationship. 1, you should listen more than you talk. To listen means paying attention to what your partner says is very important. Listening helps you understand their feelings and needs. 2, you should appreciate the small things. This means recognizing and being thankful for little acts of kindness or love or affection your partner shows you. It's important to acknowledge these small things. To acknowledge means they should know that you have seen it and have appreciated their efforts. Say thank you. Acknowledge the effort. Return it with your own effort to make each other feel valued. 3, you should keep the romance alive. You should keep the romantic part alive. You should always have special moments and make special dates. Next, part 2, the ought to of avoiding relationship icebergs, so your relationship doesn't sink like the Titanic. Okay, ought to is similar to should, but we often use ought to for duty or moral obligations. So things you feel you should do because your heart says it is the right thing to do. And this is also, of course, outside of romance. Yeah? You do things that you feel are right to do. If you see bullying, yeah, or something that you want to stop, or someone in your work environment is having a difficult time, and there's something you can do to improve it, something you ought to do. Moral obligations, we use ought to. For relationships, you ought to compromise. To compromise means to find a middle ground where both partners can agree. It should never be just your way. It should never be just their way. What is the path that makes you both happy? Find it. This shows respect for each other's opinions and needs. Next, you ought to have your own hobbies and interests. It's important for both partners to have interests outside of the relationship. This allows for personal growth and brings new experiences to share with each other. You ought to respect each other's need for space. For me, personally, this is a big one. I very much have my own life, my own interests, my own friends, and I want my own experiences outside of the relationship. I love the metaphor that two partners are like two strings on a guitar. Two strings on a guitar, the two partners. The two strings, they are apart. They stand apart. but they sing together to the same music. Yeah? The same music comes from these two strings that are apart. A beautiful metaphor. There's another metaphor about the temple. The temple, this beautiful structure, is supported by two columns. The two columns support something beautiful and strong, aka a relationship, but both columns stand apart. They stand separately. Beautiful, eh? Those two metaphors are actually from a book that I love. A book written about 100 years ago called The Prophet. The Prophet is a short book by a Lebanese American poet and writer about 100 years ago called Khalil Gibran. And it's about a fictional prophet, and he brings together wisdom from many different religions. So it's a great idea, great concept. Okay, next. It's okay for your partner to have alone time away from you or with their friends. Also, when you have some time away from them, it gives you a chance to miss each other. It's healthy for both partners to have some independence within the relationship. Okay, and finally, the had better for relationship survival. Had better is used to give strong advice. Had better suggests there will be negative consequences or negative things will happen if the advice is not followed. Okay, you had better not forget important dates. Remembering birthdays, anniversaries, and other special occasions is crucial because it shows your partner that you care and value your time together. You had better communicate. Good communication is key to solving problems. It's important to talk openly about your feelings and listen to your partner. Or you can hide your feelings and slowly let them go, make you go crazy, and then throw yourself in front of a bus or an incoming train. Or you split up and you just tell them all the problems at once in a big list. Actually, I had a past girlfriend that actually broke up with me like that. She just saved everything inside, which is actually quite common in Asian cultures, to be honest. Saved everything inside and then just gave me a list and broke up with me. I was like, why didn't you just communicate? These are all things that we can easily resolve. But she's like, no, that's not my way. This is here in Vietnam, by the way, Vietnamese girl. Anyway, so communicate, these problems do not build up. Yeah, so do not be like me. Next, you had better keep your sense of humor, your sense of fun and laughing. Being able to laugh together, even in difficult times, can help keep the relationship strong. It's important to not take everything too seriously and enjoy each other's company. If you find you're in a relationship and you've stopped laughing or laugh much less, a sad shell of what used to be, then maybe ask yourself, are you with the right person? Or is there anything toxic there? To the next and final part. If the relationship is unhealthy, if it is not successful, we call it a toxic relationship in English. Some people will stay in toxic relationships for far, far too long, and at worst, they become a worse version of themselves, like I have done before in the past. Worse for their family, worse for their friends, worse for everyone. Anyway, so let's finish by talking about ways to avoid a toxic relationship. How can we keep our beautiful love boat away from the waters of toxicity? Maybe you are too often stressed, or your little heart feels like a hurricane of madness. How is your blood pressure? And how was it before your relationship? That's one I think sometimes. I just feel a pressure inside me. Anyway, trust your instincts. Instincts means deep down, if something feels wrong, it probably is wrong. Listen to your gut feelings, your instincts. Do not ignore signs the relationship isn't healthy. Do not ignore the red flags. And the good news is that often the red flags can be fixed. Many relationships have red flags. It's just a natural part of it. Often the toxicities, that's a good word for you, toxicities can be fixed. But only if both partners want to fix it. You ought to set boundaries. Draw your lines in the sand. Decide what you are comfortable with and what you are not comfortable with, and communicate that to your partner. Boundaries are important for maintaining respect in the relationship. I apologize in advance if I'm responsible for any divorces by doing this podcast, but I will say I used lots of advice from many different professionals on their websites, many real doctors of love and psychologists. Okay, continuing about avoiding a toxic relationship. You had better prioritize respect for one another, respect for each other's thoughts, feelings, and needs is so important. Without respect, a relationship can become harmful. You should seek equality in the relationship. Both partners should have an equal say and share responsibilities. Equality helps ensure that one person doesn't have too much power over the other person. Too much power if one person has that is not healthy. Next, you ought to communicate openly and honestly. Being honest about your feelings and discussing problems openly can prevent misunderstandings and build trust. And finally, you had better not ignore red flags. Red flags means warning signs. Examples are disrespect or controlling behavior, or not communicating honestly, or needing to have too much power, or using fear against you, or threatening the relationship, etc. I've seen them all before. These are all red flags. Do not ignore them, but try to talk about them. Type in red flags on Google to learn more. Here you really have to be honest with yourself. Many people ignore red flags because it means you have to question. They have to question their own decisions and beliefs. I thought that person was right for me, and sometimes this can make us feel stupid and vulnerable. And both partners can produce red flags and toxicities. Look at yourself first. which red flags and toxicities might you be producing? First, look at that. Relationships are a journey, and like any journey, they require attention, care, and sometimes a bit of navigation and small changes. Remember, using modal verbs of advice like should, ought to, and had better can help us express what actions are beneficial or necessary, not just in relationships, but in all contexts. Yeah, we've just used relationships as our context to teach this language. So, keep these top tips in mind to build healthy, supportive, and loving relationships. Why? Because you deserve it. Because you're beautiful, inside and outside. So until next time, good luck. Have an amazing week, everyone, full of love and self-discovery. And if you're feeling lonely and single, you can always just listen to this podcast to give you some company. This podcast helps people emotionally as well, then for me that would be the ultimate joy.